I'm 11 with metric number 2FFSH3 will present the study on Harta Lega Holdings Berhad in Malaysia, performance and its determinants. Harta Lega Holdings Berhad is a manufacturer and distributor of medical devices with a focus on latex and nitrate drops. The business also participated in investment holding. It was founded in 1988 by Kwan Kam Hom, who is currently the executive chairman of Harta Lega Holdings Berhad. Its headquarters are in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Additionally, it sells its product to many different end markets as well as exposed to more than 70 nations across 5 continents. Even though Harta Lega Holdings Berhad has grown significantly in the market, they still face a lot of difficulties. One of the most significant problems that Harta Lega Holdings Berhad is dealing with is pollution, as this has a detrimental impact on the company's reputation. The Deputy Minister of the Prime Minister's Department and a few Taman Surya workers have filed complaints against the corporation, alleging that they are polluting the air and water. If this issue is not resolved by the company right away, it could harm the business reputation and credit standing and result in a drop in market share during this specific time period. Harta Lega Holdings Berhad also has problems, one of which is the rising cost of goods. Due to economic factors, changes in the US dollar have had an impact on the price of food and raw materials, particularly latex. Additionally, the meteorological conditions may cause a decrease in the latex supply. During the dry season, it will lower latex production in Malaysia and Thailand. As a result, latex will cost a little more during the dry seasons than in other seasons. In addition to this, the high intensity of delivery is the issue faced by Harta Lega Holdings Berhad. This is because the availability of products that are cross-substitutes have increased industry competition and lower market profitability. For example, the industry 5 fierce competitors, Supermax, Top Glove, Latex Partners, Corsan Rubber, and Aventa, substitutes pose a reasonably high danger. They have 3 research objectives and 3 research questions in this study. The objectives of this study are to identify the internal factors, external factors, internal and external factors which would affect the performance and profitability of Harta Lega Holdings Berhad. Whereas the research questions are, is there any relationship between the internal factors, external factors, internal and external factors with the performance and profitability of Harta Lega Holdings Berhad? Corporate governance is the term used to describe the collection of laws, customs, and procedures that regulate and oversee an organization, whereas an organization's performance is based on the combination of its financial and non-financial characteristics. Credit risk is the possibility of financial loss brought on by a borrower's loan default. However, liquidity risk is the risk that a company or individual won't have enough money to meet their financial obligations, such as paying their bills on time. Moreover, market risk is the potential for loss that an investment might incur as a result of market volatility. Lastly, operational risk is a kind of business risk that arises from typical business operations and activities because of various workplace hazards and unpredictabilities. The study sample is Harta Lega Holdings Berhad. To study the relationship between Harta Lega Holdings Berhad's performance and its determinants, data from the company's annual reports from 2017 to 2021 were chosen. Performance ROE would therefore be the dependent variable, while internal, external, as well as internal and external components will be the independent variables. The primary methodology in this work is linear regression, often known as ordinary least squares or LS regression. The link between a dependent variable and one or more independent variables was investigated using the ordinary least squares or LS approach. Based on the values of the independent variables, a dependent variable's value can be determined using multiple regression analysis. Multiple linear regression is one of the 2 types of linear regression. Multiple regression is a statistical method for examining the relationship between a single dependent variable and a number of independent variables. In short, the researcher will perform the linear regression using SPSS 27 version. Regression analysis can be used to show how the independent variables affected the dependent variable in the study. Descriptive statistics will use to characterize the features of a sample and a data collection, such as the mean, standard deviation, or frequency of a variable. According to table, the company's capacity to cover its current or short-term liabilities such as debts and payables with its current or short-term assets such as cash, inventories, and receivables is anticipated to be 239% based on the current ratio's mean value of 2.3939 in the category of liquidity risk. Although the standard deviation is 0.4935, this indicates only slight earnings volatility over the next 5 years. A high current ratio above 1 shows that the business has the means to maintain its solvency in the near future. The table displays the factors or variables that will utilize to calculate Harta Lega Holdings Berhad's ROE from 2017 to 2021. They have 4 internal factors that are significant to the dependent variable ROE, which are ROA, current ratio, debt to income, and operating margin. However, this finding indicates that the ROE of Harta Lega Holdings Berhad's financial performance is the most positively significantly correlated to the ROA with a p-value of 0.000001. Investors benefit more from a greater ROA ratio since it shows that the company is managing its assets more expertly to produce more net income. A favorable ROA ratio is often another sign of an upward trend in profitability. Notwithstanding, average correction period, operation ratio, inflation rate, interest rate, exchange rate, unemployment rate, and CG index are not significant to ROE due to the p-value greater than 0.1. This study shows that except for the external model, which has the closest R-square value to 1, both the internal model and internal and external model have the same R-square value, which is 1. For the internal factors, out of 8 variables, only 3 variables, which is operating margin, average correction period, and operation ratio contribute to ROE with an adjusted R-square of 0.999 or 100%, whereas for external factors, out of 5 variables, only 3 variables, which is unemployment rate, inflation rate, and interest rate contribute to ROE with an adjusted R-square of 0.216 or 22%. While for internal and external factors, out of 12 variables, only 3 variables, which is unemployment rate, inflation rate, and operation ratio contribute to ROE with an adjusted R-square of 0.998 or 100%. In contrast, the remaining variables are not relevant to this study. As a result, there is substantial evidence that both the internal variable and internal and external variables have a more significant influence on Hatalaga Holdings Berhad performance than external variable model 2. The coefficient table shows that only the combination of internal and external factors show significant result towards Hatalaga Holdings Berhad ROE, which consists of the operation ratio, inflation rate, and unemployment rate. With a p-value of 0.019, this study shows that the operating ratio is negatively significant to ROE. An increased operation ratio would suggest that costs exceed the company's capacities to create sufficient revenue, which might be interpreted as an inefficient situation. As a result, it will also contribute to the declining profit trend. However, with p-values of 0.018 and 0.024 respectively, the inflation rate and unemployment rate are positively related to ROE. As is well known, when there is economic inflation, costs will rise for the company, which will result in decreased profits. Additionally, a low unemployment rate can increase business profitability by ensuring appropriate output levels. All of the independent variables are significant to the dependent variable or ROE according to the analysis of the independent variables as a whole. For that reason, these internal and external independent variables have influence or impact on the dependent variables or ROE. According to Chapter 4 of this study, internal factors, external variables, and internal and external variables have all been used in the regression model. Apart from that, referring to the correlation table, there is a total of 8 independent variables, specifically ROA. Current ratio, ROA, operating margin, inflation rate, interest rate, exchange rate, unemployment rate, and CG index, which positively affect Hatalaga Holdings Berhad performance. This indicates that when the 8 independent variables mentioned just now increase, so does Hatalaga Holdings Berhad performance. However, the correlation table only shows 4 independent variables which is significant to the ROE, namely ROA, current ratio, debt to income, and operating margin. In comparison, the coefficient table shows that only the combination of internal and external factors shows significant result towards Hatalaga Holdings Berhad ROE, which consists of the operation ratio, inflation rate, and unemployment rate. Lastly, pertaining to the 3 research objectives, they have no objective is achievable, as the result shows proof of evidence indicating that when analysis together, internal factors, external factors, and internal and external factors does not have an influence on Hatalaga Holdings Berhad performance or ROE. Based on the above discussion result, it shows that no variables, whether internal variables, external variables, or internal and external variables, influence Hatalaga Holdings Berhad annual profit and financial performance. Nonetheless, Hatalaga Holdings Berhad should always take action on time, which is to increase its financial performance, namely ROE, to generate more return. The business can optimize revenue and cost or carry out specific financial maneuvers to raise return on equity. To raise ROE, the corporation must enhance its financial leverage. Financial leverage refers to the methods the corporation used to use the funds for its operations. The company needs to increase its profit margin in order to increase ROE. The ratio benefits greatly from a rise in profit margin, which happens when the company is able to enhance its production and costing procedure. High productivity may result in lower product costs, which will raise the margin. The increase in margin can be achieved by raising the selling price rather than necessarily increasing the number of units sold. However, in a market where products are intensely competitive, the company was unable to raise the selling price. The sole area for improvement is cutting costs through increased production, acquisition of inexpensive supplies, and use of inexpensive labor. In order to increase its return on equity, the corporation must also increase asset turnover. In general, a high asset turnover indicates that the asset is being used successfully, or in other words, that the asset is producing a high volume of products. Since product costs are low but prices may rise owing to product quality, increasing asset rotation will enhance both gross profit margin and net profit margin. Therefore, if a company's revenues are larger than its asset, it should be more profitable and offer a superior return on equity. In addition, the business must reduce its tax costs to raise return on equity. Tax charges often account for a significant portion of operating costs for most businesses. Therefore, developing an effective strategy to lower this cost is crucial to the profitability of the enterprise. There are many ways to reduce taxes, including tax planning and implementing the appropriate transfer pricing plan, as well as increasing manufacturing diversification. That's all for my presentations. Thank you.